Hello, welcome to the Fulhamish YouTube channel. Sammy here, looking ahead to tomorrow's Carabao Cup fourth round match at Brentford's new ground, and I'm joined by the only voice that counts when you're talking all things Brentford Football Club. It's Billy the Bee. How you doing, Billy?
Sammy, not bad. How you doing? Just a smile on my face at the moment now, actually. I wasn't smiling 3 months ago, though, was I?
No. I mean, that is the elephant in the room, Bill. Obviously, it's a Carabao Cup fourth round match tomorrow. Does it matter? Meh. But we do need to maybe dust off some of the skeletons in the closet. The last time we faced you, we all know it was playoff final. Fulham won. Fulham in the Prem. Fulham up. B stay down. Bill, it was obviously going to be a tough one to take for whoever lost that game. I imagine certain factors will have made it easier for you. Probably the fact that you weren't at the ground. So the platform is there. Your thoughts following that playoff final, because it was a big game and someone had to win, someone had to lose.
I mean, it was a big game. It's interesting, actually. You talked about Fulham up, Brentford down. It was something that was almost like your tongue was twisted. It is very difficult for you to say because it's not natural to say that, has it? Bees up, Fulham down is a lot easier to say, but obviously we had to park that one. As I say, we're putting that on the top shelf for maybe 20 or 30 years, or that's what I thought after the match against Fulham, because we've had great fun singing Bees up, Fulham down, Fulham get battered, all those kind of songs. But after that match, I had to kind of like say, hold on a second, I'm pretty gutted, of course, about losing against Fulham. Not majorly gutted, but I'm pretty gutted about losing for Fulham. But I'm more gutted the fact that I'm actually not able to sing these songs that we've loved over the past, 5 or 6 years since 2015. Bees up, Fulham down, absolutely fantastic. But I just thought, tell yourself, it'd be like a bit of vinyl. Zip it up, put it on the top shelf and leave it there for maybe 20 or 25 years or so. And then, when the kids get a little bit older, I'll say to them, this is a song that we used to sing against Fulham 20, 25 years ago, but then they beat us at Wembley and we couldn't really sing it again. But there's certain circumstances that have happened over the past few weeks, Sammy, which has made me think maybe I might have to dust up the Bees up, Fulham down vinyl and put it back off the shelves again. But listen, just going back to that playoff final, I don't know why I'm smiling and laughing so much. Like I said to you, it's obviously that 3 months and lockdown has actually got me feeling a little bit kooky as it is. But we were there in the pub. We were watching it in the pub. To be fair, we had actually a really great lockdown because, what football fans were doing, we were trying to find something to kind of just sort of kind of nullify the kind of madness that we were in. So the idea that we can actually go down to the pub and, the pub was packed. I mean, it really was. And, there's singing and there's all sorts of stuff going on, all through that whole lockdown period. To be fair, okay, even though we lost, we had a brilliant time. And I would have rather have gone through that than be, say, example, a Reading fan who was kind of like, in the middle. And that whole period, you had sort of kind of like not great things happening in your family, in your life, in your work experience, but your release, which was football, wasn't really kind of giving you a release. So at least we had a release. And, it did peak at the Fulham game. A lot of Brentford fans were really, really very nervous, obviously, because we were playing Fulham. It was a really massive game that we felt that we needed to win just because of all the kind of nonsense that has gone down between us over the years. But, it was also really weird because we weren't at the match. And, I went and met you, and Jack, beforehand down on Wembley Way. We had a beer on Wembley Way, like we were kind of fans drinking before the match, even though it was the day before the match, just to have a sort of kind of have a pre-match experience. So, we did that. On the day itself, I went down with my daughter and we walked the Wembley Way just because I wanted to have the experience of walking down Wembley. She's walked away. She's been to Wembley loads of times, but she's never been there as a Brentford fan. Actually, she has. She went there when we went there in the one other match that we've lost again because we always lose.
Playoff defeat.
It was might have been playoff defeat, or it might have been the kind of Johnson's Paint EF, Sherpa Vans, whatever the trophy was called at the time, and she was very small there at the time. But other than that, I wanted to take her, she was old enough. We walked Wembley Way, we took photographs, we did the full Monty. She had a little smoothie, outside Wembley, and she loved it, the experience. Then we went back to Brentford, went down the pub, and we watched the game. And of course we wanted to win. Everybody wanted to win. The ball went in. It was surreal, when that free kick came and Raya did some sort of kind of weird sort of kind of throwing himself, we just thought, what's he doing? Has he slipped on a banana or something? This is quite bizarre. Then all of a sudden the ball's hit the back of the net. There's no cheering. The person probably up in the Wembley kind of up in the sort of kind of the gantry, it's like, oh no, I've got to push a button. Probably pushed it. We always get the cheering coming sort of like 5 seconds too late. So we're sitting down there thinking, the ball's not moving. Oh, what's going on? Oh, players are running around. It was really, really bizarre scenario.
It took me 2 or 3 seconds in the pub to realise what on earth had happened. I was adamant it had to have hit the side netting.
It was very bizarre. The second goal was a killer. I mean, to be fair, it was a good goal, but I mean, we were all out by then. We had to go and win. And I think Brentford were a little bit gutted because, you sort of say, hey, you didn't turn up your cup final, this, that, and the other. If you look at that, and people kind of hate this, but, Brentford obviously very much into the stats. If you don't know the way that Brentford runs, the way that our club has run, and the way that we have got all these fantastic players from God knows where, it's because we've got this just ridiculous statistical setup behind the scenes over in North London, which helps us find the players, but also helps us analyse all the games. And if you actually analyse that game, people sort of say, you had a brilliant free kick from 35 yards out, which was, I didn't see the XG, but it probably would have been, the XG would have been probably like, 0.07, which means that seven chances out of 100 of that would have gone in the back of the net. Probably been even less, probably been 5 out of 100 would have gone in the back of the net. Listen, not knocking it, you went in the back of the net. But, if that chance had, as the other 95 would have done if it was ever taken, gone wide or gone over the bar, or the keeper would have saved it, it would have still been 0-0. But it was a wonderful opportunity for you. Your fullback took the opportunity, saw the keeper off his line, and bang, he did it. But if he didn't do that, then we would have still been at 0-0, as we said. The game still would have been tight. The XG between the two of us, if I remember rightly, was there was nothing in it. There was nothing in that game.
You still didn't play that well during the game, anywhere near the potential that Brentford had. And we all expected, everyone expected, that Brentford was going to win that day, just based on what everyone had seen over the 46 games of the season. Even though we're level on points, I think even the most optimistic of Fulham fans would be hard pressed to say that Brentford didn't play better generally over the season.
Oh no! Listen. We were brilliant. Other than the first 11 games of the season, which we were rubbish, and don't forget we were 18th place. In the middle of October when we played Fulham, we were 2-0 down. We were 2-0 down against Millwall the third week on October. Fans were singing, some fans were singing, I'd say, you're getting sacked in the morning to Thomas Frank. Bang, bang, bang. We scored 3 goals. Ollie Watkins scores in 90 plus 4. We beat Millwall 3-2. And then our season's turned around. But we were 18th place, 12 points from 11 games that we had at that time. If we had one more point, we'd have gone up automatically. Birmingham City, which they had a header from 30 yards, their only header of the game. Again, from an XG level, it was like basically 1 in 1,000, I think, of those headers ever go in. If that header didn't go in, we would have drawn that game, we'd have gone up. But listen, we're not knocking it. These things happen in football. And we realise that our slow starts to the season, which we always do again this season, we're having a slightly slow start to the season, always seems to shoot us in the foot. But other than that, when we came out, we were playing some brilliant football. We scored ridiculous amount of goals. Our defence was the tightest in the league, other than Leeds United. They pipped us in the end, but we were taught everything that we were doing was right. And at the end of the season, okay, those games didn't quite come off for us. But my argument is, and I say this all the time, we won 8 games in a row? I can't even remember. 8 games in a row, I think it was, including the Sheffield Wednesday game. I mean, that is kind of pretty much unheard of. Again, from a stats levels, I think it's about 4% for you to win 8 games in a row like that. If we had lost off, probably, we played Fulham and West Brom in the first 2 games, but if we lost our first 2 games and then won the next lot, people wouldn't have been so excited about how we were coming on. Or if we had, lost a little bit earlier on in the season, it's the fact that we'd won all these games in a row, everyone was getting excited about us. But winning all those games in a row was pretty unnatural thing to happen. So, you know what it's like. You're going to run out of steam at some. You're going to lose a game sometime. It always happens. I've seen it down the line. We've been playing top of the league and we're playing Birmingham City. We're flying, and all of a sudden it comes to the end of the season and they should have beaten Stockport, I think, who are near the bottom, or Chester. Stoke should have beaten Chester to go up automatically, and they lose to Chester, who are like bottom of the league or second bottom. We slip in there, next minute, bang, we're promoted. This always happens. And it was bound to happen against you guys. We had the Swansea game. We had the Stoke City. To be fair, Stoke City are decent side. Their XG, all their levels are always a lot higher. They just don't seem to perform. And I wasn't worried when we played Stoke City. I was also worried about Barnsley, because Barnsley are another similar side. Great pressing game, played great football, really good manager. Again, they do not as well performing wise as in scoring the goals, and also defensively they're a little bit weak. But as a team, they're a great team. So to me, I would have rather played somebody like Reading and probably Blackburn Rovers, and those last two matches, than to play Stoke City and Barnsley. But we did. We didn't get the 1 point that we needed, and then we came and we did the Swansea thing, which is fine. And then we came to the Fulham game. And at the end of the day, the Fulham game, personally, I think that we were too cautious. And I think that if we went out and just played our game, probably like what Aston Villa did, and went out there, bang, attack, this, the other, did the Kevin Keegan as it was, I think it would have been fine. But I think that we were too cautious in that game, and it shows in the stats and the figures that there was like literally Nat's arse situation going on there between the two of us. There was nothing to it, but you had a brilliant goal that you scored from 35 yards, which, like I said to you, 95% of the time wouldn't go in the back of the net, but it did go into the back of the net. You got one ahead. We were like, oh no, there's like 10, 15 minutes to go, whatever it was. We need to score a goal. Bang, bang, bang. It was less than that, wasn't it? It was like 8 minutes to go. And we've gone out there. You've got the second goal. And then, it's only actually when we got that second goal, we kind of let ourselves go. We scored that goal, opened you apart, scored a goal. And I just thought at that time, Christ, why couldn't we have scored this goal 10 minutes earlier, 15 minutes earlier? Why couldn't we have played like this? But it's the way that it is. Yes, we were gutted in the pub, but I'm going to emphasize, I'm not, listen, Sammy, I'm not trying to put down what have you done, but like I said, this was nothing. I've seen 9 playoff losses with Brentford now, 9, right? All the way back from Tranmere in 1990 through to the Huddersfield game, which was the worst still, in 1994, all the way through to Yeovil in 2013, and God, what else? Really that Doncaster nonsense that's going on.
Don't try. I mean, I know that you've had bad playoffs in the past, and I know that the lack of fans, but
it was. And I'm telling you, this one is listed. This one at 1 to 9. This one at the time, I did a thing with Beesotted, and I sent it out to a load of bees. Some of the bees put it one at first and second because they said we should have got there. We could have got there. We had a really great team, and it was too close, and it was Fulham. So they put it first and second in their worst. At the time, for me, I think it was 6th. It was 6th behind the sort of kind of the other ones that we had, the Ovals and stuff like that. And then we had the sort of kind of a few of the ones like the Swansea and the Sheffield Wednesdays. And then, the bottom one was Tranmere, which was kind of like, it was our first ever one. We were just happy to be there. We just turned up in a minibus in Tranmere and lost. We went, we've lost. Oh, never mind. We'll do that again. Never did we know that we're going to lose another 9 after that. You know what I'm saying? But it really was one of those ones where, and the reason why I didn't turn up at the stadium. I didn't have Fulham fans singing on 90th minute, sort of going completely berserk. I didn't walk down Wembley Way with, Fulham fans sort of singing, celebrating, going on the tube back home, having to sit on TV and watch it while all the Fulham fans are singing. And then you have the obligatory sort of kind of Brentford fan crying with the Cry on the Telly songs happening, all that kind of stuff. Didn't have to put up with that. You watched the game in the pub and then you went home, and it was just bizarre. It really was. And you went home and the missus go, we lost, it's a shame, isn't it? Yeah, it's a shame. Then you went about your business, and 3 days later, literally, you'd forgotten about it. And I really had forgotten about the whole thing because there was nowhere near the same pain. And then you come back to the new season where, you're desperate, because also, just to let you know, at the time, I've got some quite sort of contacts in all sorts of different places. And I got some sort of fairly decent, good information that there was a rumour that we may have actually had fans at the playoff final. I think they did a bit of a risk assessment just in case the government said, okay, that's fair enough to let in a smaller percentage of fans at the playoff final. I think the number they were looking at the time was about, I think it might have been 10,000, if not it was 20,000. I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have been, was it 10,000 from each side or 5,000 from each side? And I thought, this could be quite good. So of course we're getting excited about, that potentially happening. It didn't happen. So the view was, because it wasn't going to happen at the playoff final, it was going to happen at the Charity Shield, or whatever it's called now, at the beginning of the season. So I thought, we're gearing back for fans to come back in the stadium. That's quite good. Or if we'd gone up, that's a bit gutting because, if we'd gone up, we might have had Arsenal first game of the season going up to. But the fact that this has actually not happened is also kind of reinforced Brentford fans' view that, it was a good thing for us. And the reason why I say that is because, listen, you've been to the Premier League before. We ain't been to the Premier League, for over 60 plus years. Okay. So for me, it's kind of got to be perfect. That the reason isn't getting promoted. Leeds fans, when we asked Leeds fans, if you could take promotion now, would you take it? And they said, yeah, we take it. We don't care if there's no fans. You ask Brentford fans, would you take it now, or would you take it next season with their fans? They said, we take it rather next season with their fans.
I guess that is a quite easy thing to say. Hypothetically, you can't guarantee that, and that's possibly why it would have been so gutting in a way, because of course, if you went up 100 points this season, like whoop-de-doo, but there's no guarantee that you'll go up.
Of course not. But at the time, this is always at the time though, Sammy. You can only say those things at the time. So that's why you're gutted at the time. But what I'm saying is that even at the time, there were no fans in the stadium. I wasn't at the game. So the feeling for me wasn't the same as at the Yeovil game or when I went out to Cardiff to Stoke and we had to get back on that train, queue up for ages outside the station and get back, meet all the Stoke fans who were giving it large after the game and then go on that train on the way home with all the Brentford fans arguing against each other. It was just horrible. Didn't have any of that. Switched the television off. Got back, went home. Actually, a few drinks in the Globe as we did. Just went home, and that was it. It was done. It was a completely and utterly different experience. And listen, I'm not trying to style it out because, of course, we don't want to lose against Fulham. But what I'm going to say is that if we're going to lose any playoff final against you, that's got to be the one.
Yeah, like I can totally see that, and I'm sure that would have been our kind of defense as well had we lost it. For us, it was a must not lose that game. It was a cannot let Brentford have this one over us and sing bees up Fulham down for the rest of time. It was a damage limitations, and very, very thankful Fulham did it. Billy, just want to come on briefly, obviously, to the game tomorrow. It doesn't massively matter. How do you see it going? You've kind of had a pretty good start to the season. Obviously, you lost that opening game to Birmingham, but you beat Huddersfield pretty convincingly and had a 1-1 draw against Millwall at the weekend. How do you see this game going, and how much importance are Brentford fans placing on it?
It's a tough one. I think Brentford fans know Brentford fan wants to lose to Fulham. So, of course, so we want to win the game. But at the same time, a lot of Brentford fans are like, oh, Jesus, we're playing Fulham. We could have done without playing Fulham now, especially what happened in July, because maybe some Brentford fans are feeling worse about the Fulham situation than what I am at the moment now, which I said to you is I've parked it and I'm kind of cool with it. And also with what's happening with Fulham at the moment now with their, with your season, which is, it's not going great. It's not saying we're taking pleasure in your pain, but it makes us feel a bit better about the whole situation. So coming back to this game here, it's difficult because, as we say, it's Brentford B or Brentford B plus side. We're playing a lot of fringe players, which we're putting into the side and moulding them and mixing them in with 18 players as well. It seems that what we're doing is that we're kind of swapping the 18 players that we put in for each game. So, say, for example, Norgard might play in one. And Bumo might play in one with a load of B team players, and then another game we'll pick another couple of 18 players and flip them in. And it looks like they're using it as an excuse or an experience to get experience and game time for a lot of these players who never had any preseason training. We had no preseason friendlies. We didn't have any of that. So it's almost like this cup game or these cup games have been really good for us for getting players up to speed by playing in match conditions. I don't know who's going to be playing, but I'm pretty sure David Raya will be in goal again against Rodak, which will be an interesting matchup after July, just because Raya has actually been out injured. There's been a lot of rumours about him moving to Arsenal. Arsenal did bid 10 million for him. We rejected the bid. We say he's not going anywhere. Arsenal keep saying they're going to come in for more and more and more, but we're determined he's not going to go. He's been injured. He came back for the League Cup game, and that was his first game. I'm sure he's going to be playing as well. But other than that, I don't know. Well, Ivan Toney, he maybe needs a little bit more match time. He's our striker who we bought in, who we were actually going to buy him last season. So we would have had Toney and Ollie Watkins last season, but he didn't come in, so we didn't have him. So he's now in. He got off the mark last week with a penalty against Millwall, but he needs to get a little bit more into the Brentford groove. Marcus Force is an interesting player. He's one of our B team players, but he's one of the people you put the ball in front of him. He always puts it in the back of the net, so he might be playing. I don't know. I think personally, I'm going to go for a draw in this game just because it's still a slightly experimental side for us, but we've looked half decent in these matches. I'm going to go for a draw, a penalty shootout, and seeing the way we put away some penalties against West Brom, which were very, very good, I'm going to go for us to have a win on penalties against Fulham.
Well, I went on your podcast as well, and I actually said the same. I think it will end level after the 90 minutes and it will go to penalties. And I said on your podcast I'm feeling a bit obviously down about Fulham at the moment, a bit pessimistic, especially after what happened on Monday against Villa. So I said on yours that I see Brentford winning the penalties. But as I'm back on Fulhamish and maybe a little bit optimistic, I'm going to change my answer and go for Fulham to win in a penalty shootout. But I think it'll be tight, Billy. It'll be interesting to see. And fingers crossed, Fulham could be the first team to win at the brand new stadium. So
you've gone all Boris Johnson on us, haven't you? You've turned yourself straight away, like you're saying. So
hey, I am very flippant. I can change on a sixpence my opinion to suit the audience.
Listen, suit the audience. You could do what you're going to do. Listen. Okay, listen. That's fair enough. I'll tell you something. It's going to be a good match. And in a way, it's going to be quite nice to have a lot less pressure, playing you guys under a lot less pressure than what we did back in July. Because even though, like I said, it was in the pubs, there was a little bit of a pressure situation. You know that of course we want to beat you, but if we lose, we're not going to be gutted. You want to beat us, but if you lose, you're not going to be gutted. You say that you're going to be the first team to win in New Griffin Park if you beat us. But at the end of the day, like I said to you, you've come to New Griffin Park and you're the first Premier League team, I think, or they're definitely the first Premier League team to come to Brentford in the season when Brentford have actually won more Premier League games than Fulham. So there is a bit of a kind of match up between the two.
Pick up any more of those straws that you're clutching, Billy?
Listen, I'll be clutching straws all day and all night, especially on Thursday night as well. So let's go out, let's have a laugh, let's have a few beers, let's watch the match on TV again, and maybe we'll pick this up after the match, should we?
Yeah, let's do it. Well, we'll see how it goes on Thursday. Carabao Cup 4th round match against Brentford. Billy Grant from the Beesotted podcast. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Sammy. Thank you. Talk to you soon.